Hello, welcome to match day 2 of Championship predictions from the Unsport podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of the opening day of the Championship season. 2 perfect scores overall. There were the 2 final games, and both on Sunday, actually. Fulham versus Middlesbrough 1-1, which Daniel Cody correct right, and Coventry 2, Nottingham Forest 1, thanks to a 95th minute winner, which gave me the perfect score. We are right the whole time that the Championship's favorite scoreline is 1-1 because there were 5 1-1s. So I win match day 1 with 8 points to Daniel Cody's 6. So let's get on to match day 2, the first game of the day. This is all on Saturday. This is a miracle. All on Saturday. It's Peterborough United versus Derby County. Daniel Cody, you went to watch Peterborough on Saturday away at Luton Town. How bad were they?
I was worried, to be brutally honest. From a Luton point of view, it's hard to quantify because Luton were very good, but Peterborough, I think the worries going into the game were moving forward. Johnson Clark-Harris hadn't had a pre-season. Jack Marriott had his injury troubles. But then actually, when it came to the day, defensively, they were all at sea. And it was a fairly settled defence. But the 2 fullbacks got roasted most of the day, I'm afraid. And the centre-halves, I mean, they were playing a higher line than they could really handle, which just seemed a little bit all over the shop to me. But I'm not going to judge that too much because the new look Luton side were very good. And at home, I think Peterborough will be a very different proposition. They're playing Derby County, which is the perfect game to bounce back for. They still have only signed 3 players now officially. Ravel Morrison's been added, I can see, on a permanent basis. That'll probably change vastly before the weekend. I mean, we're recording this on Tuesday before the EFL Cup ties. So give it 3 or 4 days. I'm sure a few more will be on the books. And Derby got lucky that they faced a Huddersfield side that were COVID hit, injury hit, managerless because of the COVID situation. And they got a decent point in the end, given the circumstances. So, albeit Peterborough weren't convincing on the first day, I still think they'll sneak it, Craig. I'm going to go for 2-1 because Johnson Clark-Harris will be a week and 2 games fitter.
It was a reality check because they performed so well in League One last season, got through on the final day, and it seemed to hit them like a ton of bricks. Sloppy play from the back, could have potentially had a red card for Beavers with a bit of a deliberate handball. Didn't really threaten Luton as well, to be honest. So watching the highlights, Derby, I think that might give Derby a little bit of a confidence boost, to be honest, to get a point out of Huddersfield. They had a COVID hit problem, but do you know what? I think Peterborough might sneak it. I'm going to go for Peterborough to win 1-0. Up next, it is Barnsley versus Coventry. Barnsley got a good point. Coventry, last-minute winner.
Yeah, I mean, Coventry, it was classic Craig Savage time for that one, wasn't it? But Coventry got the win. It was a good performance. Given the fact they've still got a couple of bits of additions to give to the squad, they did all right given the circumstances. Barnsley, I mean, they proved us wrong again. And it was mentioned in the comments by a couple. We expected Cardiff to win that game. Okay, I know Kiefer Moore didn't start. I know Cardiff had a few little problems themselves. But I think this will be a really close game as a result. Barnsley at home, towards the end of last season, were very good. Coventry, on the road, not so much. But they didn't concede a huge amount. So I actually think this is going to be a really tight game. But on this occasion, I will back Barnsley to nick it by 1-0, the same score you went for in the last game.
Yeah, Coventry got the job done in the end. They've done well to come back into the game, actually. Barnsley, I think they will take that point as well at Cardiff. I'm going to go Championship's favourite scoreline. I think it'll be another 1-1 draw for Barnsley. Up next, Birmingham City versus Stoke City at St Andrews. But Birmingham surprised all the odds, to be honest. Would you say it was probably the shock result of the weekend?
In terms of result, yeah, definitely. I mean, both sides were involved in shocking games for me. How Stoke Reading ended up being the game of the weekend, I'll never know. Birmingham got the win away at Sheffield United. Late at night on TV, Sheffield United fans back. I was really surprised by the way that the away teams were able to get so many good results. And again, going back to what we said throughout last season, Birmingham had less than a quarter of the possession in that game. They had 2 shots on target each. They nullified Sheffield United, forced them to shoot from range. And in the end, it was Birmingham who deservedly nicked it. They looked really good defensively. And that's the thing that Lee Bowyer's got to take the most credit for. Stoke, though, were brilliant going forward. Surridge got a goal on debut. And they have still got a very good team. So I can see why some people are starting to tip Stoke for the playoffs. Michael O'Neill, a good manager. But away from home, I don't think they'll be as strong. So I'm going to go for my first Championship's favourite scoreline of the day. I don't think Stoke will have 2 thrillers in a row.
No, I don't think so. Were 2 3s in a row. I think we were definitely surprised Stoke. That game was 3-2. My worry is that the goals they conceded, to be honest. I think Birmingham probably better away this season than at home again, in my opinion. I think that they'll sharp away from home and do be Luton really hit on the counter attack and score, get the 1-0 victory. At home, probably a different story. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win for Stoke. Up next at Bloomfield Road, Blackpool versus Cardiff City. Another late point for Blackpool.
Yeah, one shot on target in the 93rd minute and a goal. And I didn't get much right at the weekend, but I did say that Shane Lavery would make an impact at Blackpool, and that is one hell of an impact in stoppage time. So at home, I think they're going to have a good game. Cardiff were a little disappointing on the opening day as well, which does give them a little bit of hope. Again, Cardiff are the sort of side that don't generally have more possession. They had less against Barnsley as well. And on the road, again, like you say, that might suit them better. Kiefer Moore, a week down the line in pre-season training after his stint with Wales in the Euros, I think he'll probably start. And if him and Collins are up there, I have to go for a Cardiff win. I think they're going to nick it by 2-1. But Blackpool, really promising signs against Bristol City, albeit for the first hour, they were probably a little bit too defensive.
Do you know, I think Cardiff will win this game, to be honest. I'm going to go same scoreline I just did last time. 2-0 to Cardiff City. Huddersfield versus Fulham. Would you say Fulham will be disappointed to only get a point?
I think so. And I think the problem for these two sides, albeit in over a course of many months and 2 different seasons, they're both sides that haven't won a game for a long time now. And that can have an impact even with a few new players. I think the big positive for Fulham was that Harry Wilson made an instant impact, looked the player we expected him to be. But the second half, again, Middlesbrough, less possession, came back into the game a little and got their equaliser. It was a classic away Neil Warnock performance, in fairness. And for me, it was the scoreline I predicted, so I can't say I was hugely surprised. Huddersfield, of course, are still going to be out without a few of the COVID hit players because the 10-day isolation will take them past Saturday. And given the circumstances, again, a bit like Derby, they'll probably be happy with the point. At home last year, we saw Huddersfield was significantly stronger. I know they're not going to have the manager in the dugout. I know they're going to be without a few players. But while Marco Silva's settling at Fulham, I'm still going to bank on them to get a point. And as they both got it on the opening day, I go for the Championship's favourite scoreline again.
I think Fulham might learn a lesson and actually see a game out this time. Huddersfield, yeah, I think, you know what, they had to come from behind to get the point. So they'll be pleased with that. But Huddersfield's a tough place to go to with a crowd. I'm still going to go for Fulham win, but I think it'll be a lot tighter. I'm going to go 2-1 to Fulham. Up next, it's Hull versus Queen's Park Rangers. Perfect start for Hull.
Hull, brilliant. I mean, we did say that we thought Preston would be down there in the pre-season preview as well, and that's potentially been proven right. But Hull broke all the trends of the Championship. More possession, more shots on target, better passing range, more clear-cut chances. They just dominated the lot. They were absolutely brilliant. They stepped up to the level really well. And remember, towards the end of the last season with Hull in the Championship, after selling Jared Bowen and Grzycki and that, there were a lot of calls for Grant McCann's head. And he took them back up as champions. He's done a brilliant job at the start of the season. But they are coming up against a QPR side that look like, yes, they may be a little inconsistent again, but at their best will be brilliant. Two sides fighting for possession, two sides that play good football. I think it's going to be a brilliant game. But I'm going to go for QPR to edge it on the road. I just think away from home, they'll probably create a few more chances. They won't have a team sitting quite as deep. I'm going to go for 3-2 to QPR.
Hull threw me by surprise. I think it's thrown everyone by surprise. I don't think a new promoted side actually will spank the team 4-1. Very good result. QPR, a draw with them, on the derby. I think they'll take that as well. I'm going to go 1-1. Don't favourite scoreline. It's the one I'm not sure on. Anyway, next up, it's Middlesbrough versus Bristol City. Both teams with a 1-1 draw. Bristol City, do you think they'll be really disappointed with that 1-1 draw?
Oh, the manner of it. The fact it was the only shot on target that Blackpool had. And again, couldn't see out a game. Bristol City, another one of those sides that, albeit over 2 seasons now, haven't won a game in a long time. And that does have an impact. And to be fair, they didn't create a huge amount either. They only had a couple of shots on target themselves. They didn't look like they were going to go and win 2, 3, 4, as lots of people predicted. So Nigel Pearson's still got a bit of work to do there. I think this is going to be the classic Middlesbrough. How many times last season, particularly early on, did they win 1-0 at home? They've still got some work to do up front in terms of getting in targets that are really going to improve that squad. So I think it's the perfect scoreline for this game. Middlesbrough 1, Bristol City 0.
I'm going to go one more. I'm going to 2-0 to Borough. There's something growing in this Middlesbrough side because last season, I don't think they would have got the point away from home. Positive start for them in a way against a tough Fulham side away from home at Craven Cottage. Bristol City, I've still not seen something that I want to see yet. There's something not yet. I know it's early days, it's only the first game, but there's something just I think they need to make a couple more signs for them. But I'm going to go Borough to win 2-0. Up next, it's Millwall versus Blackburn, the New Den. Blackburn's Adam Armstrong, the top goal scorer from last season, 28 goals. He looks like he's going to be set to be in the Premier League with Southampton. Are Blackburn doomed?
I don't know, because to be fair, at the weekend, both of the other strikers, they've got the Chilean sensation, Ben Brereton Diaz, who scored the winning penalty. They've got Sam Gallagher, who's a good target man. I think what we saw at the weekend with Blackburn is to get results this season, they're probably going to have to play in a very different way. They had less than 30% of the ball, which is relatively rare for Blackburn in the last half a year. Yet they dominated the shots on target. They got lots of balls into the box and created dangerous situations. Now, I know it's a Swansea side that's in a little bit of disarray as well. But I actually think if Blackburn adapt the way they play, they might not be in such a bad situation. The difficulty is in this game, it's the way Millwall will want them to play. They're made to be a bit more direct, a bit more physical, and they can deal with it so easily. They've still got the star quality with the likes of Jed Wallace, who've got the goal against QPR. This is going to be a really tight game, but I think Millwall are going to nick it because the way Blackburn are having to play this year, which fair play to the manager for adapting, is going to play into Millwall's hands. 2-0 to Millwall.
I feel like I repeat myself. Yeah, do you know, I think Millwall will take the point away from home. I think Millwall will be disappointed, to be honest, with a point. I think they could have done a bit more. Blackburn, great result, 2-1. Took full advantage of a new manager bounce with not much time to work on the new squad, especially in the preseason. It's a lot harder. Obviously, Adam Armstrong goals are going to take a massive effect on them. I really do. And I wish Adam Armstrong the best of luck in the Premier League, to be honest. He deserves it. Millwall will win this game 3-1, in my opinion, at the New Den. Up next to City Ground is Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. And was it a bit of deja vu for Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it looked so promising early doors. Lyle Taylor getting the first half goal, creating a couple of chances. But then, again, you can't have a conversion rate of 1 in 5 for shots on target. Coventry were much more ruthless in front of goal. Their attacking signings did show a little bit of a difference. And they're coming up against a Bournemouth side who, albeit are very good, are not the best at the back. And that showed against a very good West Brom side as well. I mean, that start to the Championship season on the Friday night was exactly why we love the league. It was a brilliant game of football. It was high tempo, and Bournemouth very much played their part in that. Bournemouth will definitely, I would imagine, have more of the ball here, but it's what they can do with it. They didn't create as much as West Brom on their opening day. And I'm torn here to go for a low-scoring draw. But if Bournemouth do get the early goal, they could run away with this. I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline because I think Forest will be able to hold them off long enough.
I'm not going to go for Championship favourite scoreline. I'm going to go for goals, and goals. If Bournemouth can expose Forest's defence and there's a sloppy mistake, like for the goal, for the second goal as well, then yeah, Bournemouth can run away with it. Lyle Taylor's first goal in 17 Championship games. That's a positive step. Brennan Johnson, he was on loan at Lincoln last season. It looks like a real top player, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on him this season. But Bournemouth have enough quality in them to win this game 3-1. Up next at the stadium, I don't really want to name because it's too long nowadays, is Reading versus Preston North End. It was a great start for Preston, but then it turned into disaster.
Yeah, and we saw this last season, didn't we, where Preston for the first third of a season were the best side in the world away from home and were utterly hopeless at Deepdale. My worry for them this season is I don't know they have the same quality on the road. They haven't got that big target man they had before. They can't play in the same way. And albeit Reading were beaten by Stoke, they were in the game and they still, despite not having made the new signings, have some quality players in there. So for me, I think Reading are going to be one of the teams that are stronger at home this year. I think Preston are going to be down in that bottom 6. I've said it before, unless they get big reinforcements, you can't lose half a squad in January, have a few loan players to get you by and then not replace them in the summer. It's going to be a Reading win for me. I think possibly the most convincing one of the weekend, maybe 3-1 to Reading.
I think Preston will lose this game again, to be honest. I'm not sure this was the right move for Preston, to be honest. I think they went for the cheap option where hire someone that was already in the club. That's my worry. I don't think he's got enough. And it was the same thing with Bournemouth last season. They hired someone that they've really got in the club and it didn't really work out. Reading, obviously, lost a couple of players, but they still got Lucas João. He can definitely score goals. If he gets on the run, he can be lethal. And I think he's going to start that this weekend with a 2-1 victory for Reading. Next up, it is West Bromwich Albion versus Luton Town at the Hawthorns. West Brom, I would say they were very good for that point, but Luton, obviously you went to watch them live, saw the new Luton in a way, and they looked really ruthless going forward.
Yeah, and a completely different style of play as well. It's probably the first time in a good decade, probably since Andre Gray was there in truth, that we've just seen a real quick attacking, counter-attacking front line, which is something we haven't had for a long time. We have quality in behind with Onyedinma and Cornick on the wings. We've got strikers who want to attack the ball, albeit there were a few more occasions where there were still those balls flashing across the box and no one running in. But come the second half, Luton grew in confidence. And the biggest compliment I can give is the new players look like they've been in that team for a year. I think the most important thing for Luton was the flying fullbacks were back. Amari Bell on the left, a great addition. James Bree, fingers crossed he stays fit. He'll be a great asset for the club. Away to West Brom, though, is going from a side that will be fighting at the bottom to potential champions in waiting. That they looked brilliant against Bournemouth without getting the win. Valérien Ismaël already, to me, is starting to look like he won't be a one-season wonder and will certainly push West Brom forwards. My worry is, though, again, West Brom, they had their moments at the back. And Luton equally have got their first choice 3 centre-halves out injured. So this game, I feel, could have goals in it. My heart's telling me to go for Luton to nick it on the road, but West Brom are definitely favourites. But for that reason, Craig, I'm going heart over head. I'm going 2-1 Luton Town, but I know very well it could well be the other way round.
It could easily be the other way around, but I'm not gone for that either. I'm going to go for Championship favourite scoreline of 1-1, and that'll be a very, very good point. Final game, it is Swansea City versus Sheffield United. Sheffield United under Jukanovic, I think, would you say the pressure's already on, losing that first game to Birmingham?
I don't know. I think the thing we all thought with Slaviša Jukanovic is he loves attacking football. And Sheffield United didn't really create anything. And that's going to take 8, 10, 12 games. You can't just teach that in a month. His style of play is not going to come across straight away. I think Sheffield United will come good if he's given time. But we said in a manager special for him, he has to be given that. Equally, though, Swansea had the same problem against Blackburn, which was loads of possession, didn't really create many chances whatsoever. And it was possession for possession's sake in the end. So all it takes for Sheffield United is one of those days where the 25-yard strikes start going in and they could have a really comfortable win here. Not having the pressure of the home fans might be a help, but Swansea are one of those sides who have generally been better at home too. This is the hardest game to predict for me at the weekend, and we're finishing on it. The TV cameras are going to have an effect. 2-2, because even though both teams didn't take their chances, they're going to be awful at the back as well. Do you know what, Craig? It's 0-0 or 2-2, and I'm going hopeful for the optimistic high-scoring game.
Oh, Sheffield United really need to bounce back, to be honest. Swansea, you can give Swansea a free hit. I know, obviously, they played last Saturday, but you can give Russell Mine a free hit for this and probably the League Cup game in the week. Get his feet under the table. It's late before the start of the season, to be honest. He has to get adjust to life at Swansea, but Sheffield United will have enough to win. Not many goals as what you had in 2-2, but I'm going to go for a solid 1-0 away victory for Sheffield United. And let's have a quick recap what we just predicted for match day 2. We love the Championship's favourite scoreline because there are 6 1-1s in total between us. Daniel Coe's going to go bold on a Reading 3-1 win. I've gone bold with a 3-1 win for Bournemouth and for Millwall to beat Blackburn 3-1 as well. And those are predictions for match day 2. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there. And give us your predictions for match day 2. While you're down there, give this video a like, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we'll see you next time.